The Chicago Bears are about to enter phase 2 of their coaching search. We're going to tell you what that means and who the finalists could be to be this team's head coach. We'll explore all that on today's show. But listen, we are closing in on 114,000 subscribers. If you haven't subscribed yet, we're dropping daily free content around the Chicago Bears, the latest news, rumors, coaching search updates. Got a mock draft cooked up that will drop in the near future, free agency coverage. We got it all this offseason, so subscribe today. It's 100% free. I'm Harrison Graham. Let's talk about what phase 2 means as the Bears continue with their coaching search. The NFL divisional round is in the books, which means some candidates have freed up to do in-person interviews to kind of ramp up their process, like the Todd Monkens of the world. Chicago has completed 17 first interviews with just a few that haven't. It's unclear if Matt Campbell interviewed already or not. That one's been kind of up in the air, but I don't consider him a serious candidate anyway. We'll talk about a few guys who haven't interviewed yet that maybe could be in the mix, but unclear at this time. But let's talk about the name that everybody wants to know about first, and that is Ben Johnson. What is the latest there? Where is this going to go for him, as most believe? He is the next big domino to fall. First, it was Mike Vrabel. Now it's Ben Johnson. Reports just coming in, by the way. Aaron Glenn, who can now get hired by teams. He is flying to the Jets facility today, and it would not shock me if they just went ahead and locked him down. So keep an eye on that one. But for Ben Johnson, Dianna Russini reporting that he's going to schedule in-person interviews this week. Bears, Raiders, and Jags among the teams that are interested. Could Dallas enter the fray? We'll see, but that's unclear at this time when it comes to Ben Johnson. One thing we do know, well, let me just mention this first. Unclear from a different report if he'll meet with the Jags. And, I think that's pretty consistent with the latest reporting that we've heard around Ben Johnson is that the Raiders have made a strong push. Tom Brady has been leading that charge. The idea that he could handpick his own GM, I think, is something that's appealing to him. Whereas, the Bears obviously are in position to offer a young, talented quarterback in Caleb Williams and a more talented roster than Vegas has at this point in time. Now, from the Vegas standpoint, Vinny Bonsignore, who's been covering this coaching search closely for them, I believe he's with The Athletic, he tweeted this out last night. He was asked directly, what does he think is going to happen with Ben Johnson? And he straight up said he'd be surprised if the Raiders didn't land him. Now, does that mean this is a done deal? Does that mean that Ben Johnson is going to be a Las Vegas Raider and be their head coach? I think it's way too early to declare that. Now, I think this week we're going to find out. I do think Ben Johnson takes a head coaching job this week, but I'm just not quite ready to just run with what a Las Vegas Raiders reporter is saying when it comes to the services of Ben Johnson. I'm just not at this point in time, especially when Adam Schefter continues to say that all three teams are in the mix for Johnson. Chicago, Jacksonville, Vegas. I think it's, my take is I think it's the Bears or Raiders with Jacksonville as a third. I think Trent Baalke's presence is going to be tough to overcome if you're the Jags, but who knows? Maybe he meets with them in person, loves what he sees, and tells ownership, hey, if you guys move Baalke out of the way, I would be very open to taking this job. Maybe something like that happens. Who knows? I don't think this is one of those situations where he's heavily leaning in one direction at this point in time. I think there's pros and cons to all these jobs, but we know he's been very selective, so he'll be very careful before determining which job he's going to take. Okay, what say you? Will the Bears land Ben Johnson? Do you think it's going to happen? Type Y for yes, type N for no. Give us your thoughts in the comment section down below. It feels 50-50 with the Bears and Raiders. Logic to me would say that the Bears is a better job, even though we fully acknowledge the flaws of this job with the structure, the ownership, all that stuff. But that's been a huge question mark in Vegas as well. Again, them firing Tom Telesco, that's their big pitch. You can handpick your GM. Lance Newmark already interviewed there. He's someone that Ben Johnson has a relationship with, so maybe that'll be enough to get across the finish line. But again, I think at this point in time, that is very unclear. Yes or no, will the Bears land Ben Johnson? Okay, more to discuss when it comes to the Bears coaching search, but first, I do want to tell you guys about our sponsor, Game Time. If you're looking to go to a game, concert, or comedy show, be sure to do so with Game Time. And listen, Game Time, I got to tell you, I've been to a couple of NFL playoff games in my time in my life. Not this year, unfortunately, but there's nothing like it. And there's only 3 of them left: the conference championship games and the Super Bowl. And if you got a chance to go to one of these matchups, you got to do so with Game Time. Get your tickets today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed. If you're looking to go to smaller events, just a Tuesday night game to go watch the Bills or the Blackhawks, or go see your favorite local band or performer in person, get your tickets right now. If you have to get tickets online, Game Time's the place to do it, because they have a ton of awesome features like Game Time Picks, which will filter out the fluff of thousands of tickets. Narrow down your search, which will save you a lot of time. It'll get you the best deals available. Super deals, which are the best bang for your buck on quality tickets. Sometimes you even get nice little discounts if you're on the app at the right time. Check out Game Time today. Download the app, create an account, use code CHATSPORTS to get $20 off your first purchase only. Terms do apply. That's code CHATSPORTS, all one word, for $20 off your first purchase only. Last minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed. What time is it? It is Game Time. Okay, who else is in the mix when it comes to the Bears head coaching search? Where do things sit? Because as of filming this, and maybe something changes in the next couple minutes, technically 0 second interviews have been leaked or announced publicly. Now, I would imagine the Bears are getting those in order, including with Ben Johnson, which that has been reported, at least from a Ben Johnson standpoint, that he's expected to take in-person meetings this week. I think it's very safe to assume he will do an in-person meeting with the Bears. But from the Bears standpoint, it has not been reported that, hey, they're bringing this guy in for a second visit, bringing this guy in. Whereas the Saints are already bringing in Mike Kafka, Anthony Weaver. Jets are bringing in Aaron Glenn. So these other teams are starting to move along. I'm not saying it's, good or bad necessarily, but I got to think that starting today, at some point, we're going to hear which candidates the Bears are interested in bringing in for a second interview. Obviously, Johnson, Mike McCarthy, Todd Monken, and Brian Flores have been names we've heard a lot, and all of those guys are available, by the way, with their teams out of the playoffs, or in McCarthy's case, just a coaching free agent at this point in time. I do wonder, are the Bears waiting on anyone? Will they wait for Kliff Kingsbury, whose stock has gone up, but has, kind of conceded he's not sure he's ready to jump back into being a head coach? Would they take that risk to try and secure an interview with Kliff and see if he'd be interested? Obviously, relationship with Caleb Williams, saw Caleb's dad, Carl, retweeting a bunch of people praising Kliff Kingsbury. Not saying they're going to do their search based on what Carl Williams is tweeting or retweeting, but certainly notable. Joe Brady, with Buffalo winning, do you wait that out for a second interview? With Kliff, you haven't even done a first interview, so I think that one's a little more risky, considering it's unknown if he would even jump back in. Obviously, Brady is someone who would take the jump if the right opportunity came along. Commanders and Bills are still playing, obviously, so you'd have to wait those guys out. And then, obviously, what about Marcus Freeman? What about Marcus Freeman? He was asked, I think it was Saturday, media availability before the national championship, which is tonight, that while he's flattered about the Bears' reported interest, he said he hasn't thought about the NFL. Now, I don't expect him to think or say anything else when asked that question right now. Like, he's got to focus on the biggest game of his life. It's very possible that this game tonight will be the biggest game he ever coaches in, despite him not even being 40 years old yet. So I would expect him to say and think nothing else. But does that change after tonight, win or lose, especially if they win? Because you could argue, if you're Marcus Freeman, this year was kind of a perfect storm for Notre Dame. There wasn't a dominant Bama team or a dominant Georgia team. Excuse me. You kind of hit lightning in a bottle this year if you're Notre Dame. If you win this tonight, while yes, you're a legend at Notre Dame forever, and you have, equity, and it would take a ton to ever lose that job and get fired, and you'll make a bunch of money, and you'll probably get a statue built. You could also argue it's the perfect time to jump to the NFL if a team like the Bears offer the job. I'm not saying the Bears would or wouldn't, but I do think their interest is real. So keep an eye on tonight, especially if Notre Dame wins. I think it's at least a slight possibility that he would entertain at least an interview with the Bears. I do think this. I think the Bears locked down a coach this week. So when it comes to Clifford Joe Brady, I don't think the Bears are waiting for those two because I think there's enough quality candidates out there that, the advantage of just starting to build your staff, like whether it's Johnson, McCarthy, Monken, or whoever, like chances are you're going to be able to get one of those three guys. And if you feel very comfortable with one of those three, even if you don't get Ben Johnson, get one of the other guys, start assembling your staff, and get a jump on some of these other teams. I think that's the way I would go, but we'll see. And obviously, had the Lions won, I would have waited out Ben Johnson. But with them losing, I think it's full steam ahead here. You try to get him, and if you can't, you lock down one of these other candidates. Predict it for us down below. Who will be the Bears head coaching finalists? If you had to guess, who will be the finalists? And I don't know, usually finalists mean if you get a second interview, you're a finalist. 3 to 5 candidates typically get that nod. Last time it was 3. It was Matt Eberflus, Jim Caldwell, and Dan Quinn. Obviously picked the wrong guy. We'll see who it is this time around. I would guess it's at least 3, but potentially as many as 5, somewhere in there. If you had to guess who will be those finalists, I will guess that it's Johnson, McCarthy, Monken, and Brian Flores. That'll be my guess. Those 4 candidates will be the finalists, and then they will pick one of them. Okay, that'll do it for Chicago Bears Now. My name is Harrison Graham. Be sure to hit that subscribe button. If more news drops, we will be back with another video later today, so stay tuned for that. And on the way out, who wins tonight? Notre Dame, Ohio State? Let us know what you guys think. We'll see you soon. Bear down.